Welcome back to Tiberium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with another video. And this is going to be a video about how you display, store your collection, whether it be boxed and loose. And I'm going to show you kind of some of the things that I do, some of my display collection, and this is kind of refilming some stuff I've covered in my very first video, and how I just kind of started on my project. Just kind of showed you a little bit of a tour. So this is what I call my man room, where I keep the majority of my favorite items that I have. And so one thing I want to talk about right here with this is the boxed vehicles. And with this, it's simply, I had a space that I wanted to put boxed vehicles, and it worked. And I want to show you the progression of boxes. And all three of these AT boxes, AT boxes, are different. And the Jedi box I actually got for like $10, but I threw a complete AT-AT in there. So I got like a complete AT-AT in each one of these. And I did that simply because it's just when I was collecting, as I picked them up, this is where I wanted to put them. And I've got other items like the Death Star box, and I have another Death Star box in the attic. I got a few extra boxes in the attic. These are my better boxes, and they're not AFA quality, and obviously they're not sealed, so you wouldn't AFA a non-sealed vehicle, and some other things like that. So anyway, this is one of the boxed items that that I like, the packaging. So the next thing I want to talk about would be sort of my pride and joy of collecting here, and kind of what really I'm excited about. And I want to talk about this whole display and whole setup. And it lets me show you a scan here. You go up. There's my Tiberium shuttles. Now they're not all complete. I get them whenever I get a chance. But these are some really cool vehicles, and it's one of my favorite. And we just want to kind of point out to you guys, though, if you're into my site because you like the toys and the vintage Star Wars and then the Transformers Masterpiece and stuff, I'm putting out a lot of video game videos, and I'll keep doing that for a little bit. But I do want to, there are so many toy videos I have plans for. So anyway, this is set up like a card bag. Now you see how a card bag's set up, and it's got figures on top, vehicles and stuff on the bottom, and this is probably the worst card bag I could have grabbed. I should have grabbed an Empire card bag, which really just picks this better. But if you look at my setup here, I have figures on the top, and then I have vehicles towards the bottom. And if you can look, I'm going to show you a couple of things I do with the setup on the vehicles, but I'm also going to show you something else I like to do. As you know, with collecting, space becomes a challenge and an issue. And I have my Transformers behind my vintage G1 Transformers collection behind my carded Star Wars figures. And it never was really the intention to do that. But when I started looking at how am I going to display my figures and how am I going to do all this, how am I going to fit everything in here, although it felt like a lot of space when I started, quickly found out it was not. It was running out. So, you know, you can see here, I have all my Dinobots, G1 Dinobot collection behind there. And one day I'm going to have to take a lot of careful time removing my carded figures to, carded Star Wars figures, to do a video showing what's going on with the vintage. But really, I kind of built shelves in here so that I could display them in their alt mode in the Star Wars, or the Transformers. And I think the alt mode is what they look the best in, so that's why I display them that way. And this is where I go when I get my videos to do like G1 comparisons to the new modern Masterpiece. And Masterpiece is really what interests me the most right now. I just kind of got tired of you get tired of the G1 when you have 7 of the same figure. Why are you going after more G1? You just want to move on to something new and different, right? Okay, so this shot kind of shows you how amateur of a video guy I am, but I really want to show you, I have, let's see, Star Wars, Millennium Falcon, Empire, and Jedi. And these are not sealed. These are ones I got as cheap as the Star Wars, the Jedi Millennium Falcon box I got for $10. The Empire Falcon I got for $20, almost complete. And then I have 2 Star Wars ones back here, and see if I can get that. Sorry, not gonna bother. That's actually another Empire box. So anyway, I have 4 boxed all complete except one's missing a training ball, so I got 3 of the training balls. And this is over 23 years of collecting to find these deals. And I actually passed on one that was complete, missing a training ball in the box for $20 because I had bought so many of these so fast. I think I bought all these within like 3 weeks, and I'm like, I'm running out of space, and I don't have a place to display it, a place to store it. Dummy me, I should have still bought it because I mean, what did they go for, like $200 in that kind of condition? Next, I want to talk about like mini rigs. So I've got all the mini rigs lined up down here, and mini rigs are cheap, the cheapest vehicles to go after, and some of them are like dirt cheap. And you can get a sealed one for like $17 on some of these. Now I did some measurements and I adjusted these shelves so that they would fit just right, and I just figured out what would fit. So like obviously you've got some of these the animals, the creatures, the monsters, and they fit okay. Alongside with like Imperial Trooper transport, and then the land speeders, and then of course behind them I have different variations which I can't display because I just don't have quite enough space. Now here, and you're going to kind of see off to the right, I kind of call that my receiving area. This place where when I get something, I plan to do something with it, make a video, or maybe possibly, I don't know if I want to keep it. I might take it back. I'm not sure. Kind of some goofy stuff. And these boxes are not the best condition, so to make them line up just right is really a challenge. But I was at a convention or whatever, Comic-Con, and I got like the A-Wing, the Y-Wing at the bottom right. I don't have an A-Wing box, by the way. Y-Wing bottom right, I got 2 of those boxed, almost 100% complete, missing the bomb only, for $5 a piece. I couldn't believe that deal. It's like one of, like out of 10,000 things you buy, those 2 were like one of the best deals I got. Although they don't have inserts, I actually have a friend, Trey, and you've seen his video. If not, look it up on my site. And he has everything sealed in the box, or not sealed in the box, but like brand new in the box. And so I can see what the inserts look like. I can fabricate my own so that I can have pretty close to what the original inserts look like. And there's some sellers on eBay that make inserts, make boxes, and all that stuff. If you want to go that route, but I'm trying to stay as original as possible because of the pressure from my buddy that I get a lot of flack if I don't go original. So I don't want to deal with that. So next I want to talk about figures. So if you look at this display here, and some of them are not exactly 100% centered because I've been moving stuff around, and it takes a little bit of time to make it all centered. And then of course the dusting of all this stuff. But if you look at IG-88, he looks good on the shelf, right? So this is an IG-88. I paid $5 for the card back. I bought a lot of card backs back like 10 years ago. And for some reason, the AFA U-grade was a big deal. So as you can see, he's not sealed. But I have him on my sealed shelf because he's my filler till I get a sealed one. I don't care if I ever get a sealed one or not. I really don't care because he looks so good. It's fine with me, and I'm not collecting. I'm actually not collecting to make money. I sell stuff and makes a profit, and I buy more stuff. I'm not really doing this as a job. This is not my job. This is fun. This is a hobby. But I meticulously recarded this guy in original packaging, original figure, original weapons, and the one I already had. And the figure itself, I got it like $1.75 with a lot. So I paid $75 for a lot of like 50 of them or something like that. It was like $1.75 or something. So next, I kind of want to show you some good and the bad and the ugly over here. How to remove that green A-Wing and that extra snow speeder. So basically, what I wanted to do in this section was to display some mid-size or small vehicles. And yes, I do have 3 of the Sonic land speeders. None of them work properly. When I was missing a seat, I only got one of the clicker. This is a definite work in progress there. Tons of the original land speeder, and like whenever I buy a collection, and I buy people's collections all the time, when I buy the collection I just say, hey, I'll give you so much for it or whatever, and I just try to upgrade whatever I've got on my shelves here. But the land speeder I think is one of the most iconic vehicles, and I actually did get one of those Toys R Us ones. So anyway, A-Wings, I only have those are 90s A-Wings. The one on the right, I actually only have one of the original, and I have a funny story about where this guy, he handed me an A-Wing and said $12, and I tried to chew him down to 10, and he's like, wait, that's a vintage one, $100. And that's the guy that hooked me up with a $100 box for $10 later on. So he kind of made amends for it. And I found that one for $45 online, and it didn't work. And my friend actually had to take it apart and fix it. Trey's a fixer. He's also a mechanic on his own. He only likes working on his own stuff though. But anyway, he did fix that for me. So thank you, Trey. So like here we've got these skiffs, and they're going to start going up in value. I think on the right I got a couple of vintage, I got a box vintage, and then I've got the rest. I think I've told 7 of the '90s ones that I've picked up for as cheap as $5 a piece, missing parts and stuff like that. So it just is what it is. Got a different variety of the X-wings. Of course, I got the snow speeders, and then my Y-wings. Now these are loose Y-wings, not 100% complete. Just kind of works in progress. My complete ones are in the box now, and that's kind of what I've gone with. And then the ones on the left, I got at a vintage Toy Base 10 in Oklahoma City. Steve's a really good guy up there, and he gave those to me for a really good price, like I don't know, $10 for 3 of them or something. At one point in time, I think he's charging a little bit more for Star Wars stuff now, but now I'm really showing you some stuff here. You can't really be a collector with kids that like Star Wars and not have toys for them to play with. In fact, any vintage toy, aside from maybe these guys on this shelf, but any vintage toy that Star Wars toy that they deem that they would like to play with, I have an extra one for them to play with. In fact, I have a drawer, or what is this? An ottoman that's full of vehicles, vintage vehicles that are a little bit beat up, missing parts, that they can play with all day long, all that they want. If they break them, I won't even get mad because I got them so cheap and they were just, extra 7ths and 8ths and stuff. But this is a Jabba the Hutt here, and I got a twin pod cloud car or whatever. So I've got a couple of vehicles down here, and I actually have more other places. And, these are all ones I got good deals on, and then I got a bucket of toys they can play with. And, really, it really brings joy to my heart to watch my kids play with Star Wars figures, whether they're the newer ones, the 90s, the 2000s, or even the handful of vintage ones that they wanted, and I let them have. Okay, so I kind of like to be real organized about how I store my loose figures, and I'd say 2, maybe 3 different things that I do when I store my loose figures. And I keep them in a Darth Vader head, I keep them in a C-3PO head, and then what I have found a new understanding or appreciation for is the soft case. Down there I got some soft cases next to another slave one, and somewhere around here I think I have a what was that, Ewok battle wagon in the box. So here are some C-3PO cases and some soft cases, and I'm about to show you kind of the difference between the figurehead cases and the soft cases and why I like them the most. Why I like soft cases more, but I have appreciation for all of them. So when you open up a Vader head or a C-3PO head, usually they just kind of fall everywhere, and that's kind of a pain, and you got to kind of line them back up just right. I'm not a big fan of that. This is a Darth Vader head that, come to think of it, maybe I should put the good guys in the C-3POs and the bad guys in Darth Vader. But anyway, this is full of stormtroopers that I have whitened. I think 75% of these have been whitened through my whitening process. And some of them have not. I thought they were good enough, so whatever. And then on this side here, same thing. And then as I get more figures through collections and lots and stuff, I just add to it. And eventually one day I'll do another round of whitening. But it's something that I really want to have like 7 figures. Well, I actually want like 20. I want to be able to do, boom, a couple days and a couple days and a couple days. Toy Polloi has chimed in on my whitening video, and thanks for the advice there to not ever go more than 3 days. And I just kind of forgot about a batch and burned them up, so I got a video for that too. Also on these cases, look for the latches. If you go to buy a case, make sure you have good latches. I mean, for me, I don't really care. As long as I got one latch on the top or both the sides or something, it'll work for me. Here's just a random set of figures, and I kind of like to group like kinds so I can say how many Chewbacca's do I have. 20, okay, good. How many Ponda Babas or Walrus Mans do I have? How many Greedos? How many of each of these? I don't store the weapons in these because the weapons would fly everywhere all the time. I store them in little baggies, like a bag of vintage, and I got a bag of actual authentic weapons. I got a bag of repros in case I want to outfit an army, and I know it's repro, whatever. But I try to keep them separate, and I know for a fact which one's which, so it's not a big deal. Interesting thing about this case, it came out in the 90s, and I really like the sound. The thing is, back in the 90s, this guy clearanced out for like $1.25, and I got 2 of them instead of getting 10 or 20. Dummy me, I should have gotten 10 or 20, but I only got like 2 of them. But anyway, it's pretty cool. The problem is you can't really store any figures in his head in this side because of the electronics. And you have to change the batteries out after a while. I have to admit, out of all my C-3PO heads, this is my favorite C-3PO head because it has, of course, C-3POs. My goodness, this kind of reminds me of my Fan Toys video, Fan Toys Transformers. All the bling is just reflecting off of the light. But yeah, I just love the vac metallized gold. I don't know how many are in here. I haven't ever counted them, and to tell you the truth, I probably have 4 more to throw in there. So, and this is not the time to do that. Okay, so these cases, they made 3. They made the Star Wars, they made the Empire, and then they made the Jedi. And I don't have a Jedi one. Jedi is the most valuable. And it's really funny how when it comes to ships, box ships, and when it comes to these cases, the Jedi is more valuable. But when it comes to the actual figures on the card, Jedi is not very valuable for, like, let's say, Darth Vader. That's the least valuable Darth Vader. So it's a weird anomaly that's going on. But anyway, that being thrown out the window there. I mean, this Empire case I paid for the same as I paid for all my Star Wars cases, next to nothing. But anyway, here you go. Okay, so had to fix those R2-D2s for you. But if you can see in here, this case is red. And the red would sometimes bleed into the figure. And you got to be real careful, especially with white and R2-D2 and R5-D4 and all that good stuff. But anyway, these guys, I just decided to make this case just for R2-D2. And a funny little fact, I was at one of my favorite toy shops, and I pieced together one of these R2-D2s from the Droids, not the Droid Factory vintage. I could have pieced together a second one, and I actually did. I got that for $5. Could have got the second one for $5, or I could have made a deal and got it even cheaper. But I didn't, because at the time I was buying that one, I didn't think I needed multiples. And now, as I find more and more and more, I'm getting stickers and stuff and putting them on there. I do really appreciate when you find a vintage R2-D2 or an R5-D4 with a good sticker. And you don't have to put a repro sticker on it. I find that to be very fulfilling. So I want to get into why I like buying people's collections that are, well, they're in these soft cases. Because the figures are almost immaculate, 100% amazing. They usually have all their weapons and accessories. Just really impressive how good a condition that they come in. And just that's much better than the Darth Vader heads. You might get a random couple of weapons, and you might get this and that, whatever. But these are usually the best quality. When you get them in a soft case, somebody's kept them in a soft case, they usually have at least a handful of their weapons, or majority of their weapons. The Darth Vader heads just seem to not have a whole lot of weapons in them. Now, this is actually a Joe case, and I actually have another Joe case somewhere with other figures in it that are Star Wars. And I really thought this was a cool use of the Joe case because I like that Scout Trooper. That's probably my favorite. I would rather have that as a costume. But this is also another Joe case. You can see G.I. Joe, and I saw Star Wars in it. And I think that the Indoor Rebel Trooper is definitely fitting for that. This is a space case from the 80s. It was a generic version, and you can hold your figures in it, and it sucks. It's just really, really, really brittle plastic that falls apart. But, you know, it can hold a Max Rebo band or something. Lastly, I want to talk about weapons and accessories, and you can do whatever you want. You can keep yours with your figures in soft cases. You can do what I did, and unless I'm displaying them specifically, I just keep them in a baggie with all the different weapons and stuff. Some of them more valuable than others, but these are my vintage ones. I know are vintage. This is my like repro or knockoff stuff that I know it's repro and knockoff, and I keep it anyway. And then this is like modern stuff that I've gotten for next to nothing, garage sales, whatever. Just stuff I think is cool that I might want to add to a display somewhere down the line. I just want to show a few things. I got a couple more of these snow speeders up here. I've actually suspended that when I hung it. That's definitely a great way to display ships, is by hanging them. Hung me up a good old X-Wing over here. Next to, I've got a Death Star that I use for storage for a lot of different things, but I really like it. And don't forget about the good old fashioned, what you call it? Java Soul Barge coming up. This video's getting long, so I'm going to wrap it up. Tiberium Hangar out.